Okay, so we're answering this question. Calculate the costs and benefits of each option 1 and 2 and comment on your findings. So we've got 2 options being offered by the factor. For us to comment, we need to compare the results of the factor with our current position. So we've started with current position. The bad debts, 2% of credit sales. As you can see here, 28,028,000 if we take out 3 zeros. So what we are saying is that the bad debts currently are at 2%. Okay. And there's finance cost on receivables of 5370 if we throw away 3 zeros. We bring in a option 1 of a factor. Oscar estimates that this will result in savings of 30,000 per year in admin. So it means that if we continue, we have a cost of 30,000. If we bring in a factor, it won't be there, it disappears. What of the finance cost? There's some information here. The admin by the factor of Oscar's invoicing, accounting, and collection on non-recourse. This is on a non-recourse. So meaning that they are going to take over the bad dates. The factor charges is for 1.5. Admin cost savings and average trade receivables collection period would be as per 1. Also, company would require to accept an advance of 80% of trade sales when invoices are raised at an interest rate of 9% per annum. And then the company pays that overdraft rate to 65. Okay, good. So let us put in, there's an factor fee. The factor fee for the other option, and we are told that is 1.5%. 1.5%, and this is only this particular one. So you go equals 28 by 0.0015. So that is how much is going to charge. Why? Because it's taking over bad dates too. So we need to talk about the bad dates. What will happen to bad dates? Here's what will happen to bad dates. Here, the bad date is going to disappear. There's no bad date to a company. So it's no longer a cost under this one. Okay. On the option 1, all there to continue. Why? They say on a full recourse. On a full recourse. So it means that they'll continue to charge us. Now we need to check whether there's going to be reduction in the bad date. Under this arrangement, the average trade receivables collection will be 30 days. Okay. Admin by the factor. Okay, the factor charges 1.5. Admin cost savings and average trade receivable collection period will be as for 1. Also, company would be required to accept an advance of 80% of credit sales when invoices are raised at an interest rate of 9%. Okay. So under this option, again, there is some funding. That funding is not being mentioned here. It's not being mentioned there. So this funding comes with option 2. So let's see, break down our finance cost. Let's put the finance cost. Let's put in the finance cost. Okay, with the benefit of, I'll put it here. How much will be our receivables now? 30 days. So our receivables will be 30 over 365 times 28. 28. So with the factor on option number 2, it doesn't come with a funding. Eh? There's no funding here. Funding is in fact on option number 2. So Oscar would be required to accept an advance of 80 when invoices are raised. So this option is not coming with the funding. The only things that are common here, they have said that the administrative savings and average receivables collection period would be as option 1. Then they saw where will this money come from. This money then will continue to come from where? Overdraft. Let's calculate. Let's calculate. So we come here, we say equals 30 over 365. We multiply by 28,000. Multiply by 0.07. So that is what we have here. Any computation, take note of yes. The receivables is 30 days. 30 days multiplied by that. That is for option number 1. Okay. What of option number 2? How much the finance cost? There'll be 2 lines. There'll be 2 lines. What are those 2 lines? Let's go. 80% and 20%. What do we mean? Let's go. How much money is coming from the factor? How much money is coming from the factor?
It's 80%.
80%. So we say this is the cost of money coming from the factor. Let's put it in. The factor is going to fund 80% of this figure. And the factor charges at what?
9%.
Yes. The factor is charging at 9%. That's how much the factor is charging. What of the balance? Where will the balance come from? The balance will come from where?
Overdraft.
Yes, overdraft. And what proportion of the money is coming from there?
20%, 7%.
Yes. So there are 2 lines there. There are 2 lines, as we can see. We have the figures. So these are for option number 2. 30 over 365 by 28,000 by 0.8 by 0.09. Please, can you check that? Make sure that the What I've done is correct. Make sure that what I've done is correct. Somebody please check these figures. Make sure that everything is okay. Bad dates. Bad dates. Here, the bad date does not disappear. There, the bad date disappears. There is no admin cost. There is no admin cost. The admin costs are not there. Okay. Here, you don't have these fees. So then, we can finally indicate what is happening here. Let's ask questions. Let's ask questions. So which one is the cheapest? So the option, the leases seem to be better, but the best is the option number 2. So option number 2 seems to be much better arrangement. And mainly it's because the bad debts have disappeared. Although the factor fee is high, it's 420, because they're taking over the bad debt risk, but overall, it's a better deal. So the company is encouraged to consider engaging a factor, and between the 2 options, they must choose option number 2. Discuss reasons why Oscar may benefit from services offered by the factoring company. There are a lot of points here. Let's share the points, please. Let's share the points. What are the benefits What are the benefits? What are the benefits of factoring? We can see that they can give us some finance. So we can have our inventory in time. We can set to our payables also. We can reduce cost of on department. We can benefit from their expertise. We can benefit from the expertise. Okay. Discuss three factors to determine the level of company's investment in working capital. How much working capital are you going to have? What factors influence that? What factors influence the level of investment? Type of business, company policy, management, risk appetite, so what policy has the company chosen? What business are you in? And what is the level of risk appetite that management has? Okay, so that is one question that we wanted to practice there. That is one question we wanted to practice together. Then there's another question here. We don't want to do the whole of it, but we want to discuss it. I want to discuss this question. You all have it? Let's discuss this question. Calculate the nominal net present value, calculate the real net present value. Please quickly read through the question. I'll pause it. I'll pause the recording. I'm sure we have read through the question, not so.
Yes, sir.
Good. Let's discuss the issues that we said we want to talk about. Let's discuss those issues. It's really inflation, how to inflate these figures. Do you remember how to inflate these sort of figures? Do you remember how to approach inflation successfully in this type of figures? How do we inflate here? We need to inflate for the number of years. We need to inflate for the number of years, meaning this figure must be inflated how many times? Once, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Selling price and cost information and current price terms for applying selling price inflation of 5% a year, variable cost 3.5, and fixed costs are 6%. So the first one, to calculate the nominal net present value. What does nominal mean?
Inflation inclusive.
Yes.
So inflation is already considered.
Okay, so when they say calculate the nominal net present value, what they mean is these figures are in current price terms. So for that approach, you need to inflate these figures. Remember, they're saying these are in current price terms. And that is why we brought this question, just to remind you of how you arrange your data. So what you do is you put it 125, 130, 140, and 120. So that's what you do first. Then you bring in the inflation. They say the inflation on selling price is what? 5%. So here what you do. This one you multiply it by 1.05. The next one is you take this one, multiply by 1.05. And you continue. So these are your inflation factors. So you've seen what we do, eh? So then the selling prices we are supposed to use are, you now multiply this one, multiply by that. So that is why I brought this question, to remind you of what you're supposed to do. The 3, 3, 1. So your figure. Let me pick here. All right. For you. Is it okay?
Mic is mute, sir.
Have we caught up there, madam?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go. Let's now bring in the fixed cost. So we've got our cash flow. For tax. Let's look at the story for tax. What have they told us about tax? What's the tax rate?
26%.
26%. When is it paid?
In the year it arises.
Okay. What of tax saving? What is the question saying? The company claims tax allowed depreciations on the full initial cost of 2025 reducing balance. Please, can you work out the tax saved on the capital allowances? I'm going to pause the recording here. I'm going to pause the recording here. I want everybody to calculate their own. So we have calculated the tax saved on the capital allowances. We had given each one of you an exercise to get the tax saved on the capital allowances. And it's nice to see that most of you managed to find your figures, isn't it? Yes, just be careful the final year. We've seen that we just got to be careful with what happens in the final year. The whole amount is recovered then. So based on our figures, that's what we have. In the absence of any mistakes, that's what we have. This is in nominal terms, meaning we have factored in all the inflation. So that's what our answer is supposed to be. Now they also wanted us to do it if we ignore inflation, what will happen? Let's now ignore inflation. Now the good news is that you've got all the figures already. We've got all the figures already. That's the good news. Okay, let's go. Where are the prices? The prices are these before inflation, the selling prices, these. That's the one we need. The variable costs, the one before inflation, where are they? It's these. The fixed cost, the ones before inflation, where are they? The fixed costs, the ones before inflation, here we are. So that's what we have. So basically you pick the figures before inflation. That's what is expected. And the tax being saved doesn't change. It's the same figures. The same figures that we have here. Tax savings. What discount rate are we supposed to use? What discount rate are we supposed to use? The real.
8%.
Yes, that's the one we are supposed to use. Right? So this is what was expected. In real terms, don't inflate the cash flows, but also even in the discount rate, don't inflate the cash flows. Okay. What was the other part of the question? Who can give us the answer? So our findings are that both answers are positive. Okay. Yeah. Both answers are positive. Okay. That's what we can see. So it just shows that the project is still acceptable in whichever approach that we use. Discuss 4 ways to encourage managers to achieve stakeholder objectives. How do you help your managers to achieve stakeholder objectives? Corporate governance, how do we realign our shareholders? How do we realign the shareholder interests, those of the manager's interests, those of the shareholders? Hmm. Try to give them some shares, minimal shareholding, so that they become responsible. Share options, give them rights to buy shares in company. Profit-related pay, bonuses, good corporate governance, such as remuneration committees, management audits. From time to time, try to engage a consultant to assess the management effectiveness. Ask them to give additional reports. Mhm. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at the last question. I sent you a question on cash budget. That question has been repeated there. We have seen that question before on our paper. Have you seen the question I've sent you there? On cash budget? That question has been repeated there on this paper, I think twice also. That's the last question we shall do. So let's all take that question, quickly read through it. Quickly read through the question.